Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 Kindle Unlimited reads from this year. I think I started Kindle Unlimited this year. I don't remember. I might have had it for like a free trial or something last year, but this year was the first year that I paid for it like every single month and I read a lot. I definitely got my money's worth with that subscription. If you don't know, Kindle Unlimited is an ebook. It's a subscription-based service through Amazon. So ew, and it's $9.99 a month, and you can check out. Now it used to be 10 books at a time, but I think they've expanded it. I think it's like between 15 and 20 now. I don't know, because I definitely have more than 10 books checked out right now. And with the Kindle Unlimited books, you can check out a few of, so many of them at a time. And you can read as much as you want. You just have to return them in order to check out, new books. So it's a pretty great service. I mean, like a lot of these Kindle Unlimited books are by indie authors. So without paying for Kindle Unlimited, each book would probably cost around like from 99 cents to maybe $5.99. So if you read, including tax, if you read 2 to 3 per month, you've already paid for Kindle Unlimited. I think it's definitely worth the price. If you're a romance reader, I highly recommend it. So much good stuff. I mean, there's other stuff besides romance, but I would say the majority of the books that I've read and the majority of the books that I see on there are specifically romance. But also because I'm a romance reader, that's what I get recommended, so there might be a lot more other books on there. Also, they do have like popular books on there as well. It's not all indie published books. Okay. So we'll go ahead and just chat through my favorite Kindle Unlimited reads from this year. Say the majority of them are romance. There is one on this list that is definitely not a romance, and another one that I specifically would not call a romance. And going in order from least favorite to most favorite, so these are still that I really liked, but I'm going to go counting down to number 1. So at number 10, I am going to do my non-romance, Lumberjanes, which is by a bunch of different authors. This is a children's graphic novel series that is on Kindle Unlimited, and I absolutely love it. It's very fun. I love graphic novels. I love like very adventurous ones. Like my favorite graphic novel series right now is the Rat Queen series, and I feel like this is a good equivalent for younger readers or people who don't like very violent or graphic stories. So highly recommend it if you like adventure stories. If you were a fan of Percy Jackson, I do feel like you would really enjoy this series as well. It's very good. It's about this group of girls who go to the summer camp, and they're the Lumberjanes, and things happen at this summer camp. And it's so fun. Next is one that I read early this year, which was Parker by Jack Harbon. Jack Harbon has a lot of books, and quite a few of them are on Kindle Unlimited. He mostly, I don't want to say mostly, he writes a lot of, he's a romance author, but he does write a lot of LGBTQ plus romance as well, and also a lot of diverse romance. This Parker is a male-male romance, and it is about this guy who is in an abusive relationship, and there is a woman who like witnesses him like trying to get out of the relationship and leave, and so she offers him a place to stay while he gets back on his feet, and she has like a bunch of like foster children almost. These are all adults. They're all adult age by this time, but she had a lot of like foster children. There is one who still lives with her, Parker, and our hero falls in love with him, and it's adorable. Of course, this series, because it does stem from a domestic abusive relationship, I would check your triggers, and I do know that there are going to be more books in the series, and I'm very excited for them. The next book is Radiance by Grace Draven. This is a fantasy romance that I know a lot of people were really buzzing about early this year, and I really enjoyed it. It is about this world where there are different kingdoms, and our heroine is human, and our hero is from another kingdom that is kind of been at war previously with like the human kingdoms, and they kind of strike up this like allyship deal where the heroine, who is like, she's not a princess or something, she's like the king's niece or something like that, I don't remember, and the hero is like the second son or something, so he's not like super high up there politically, and so they get married to create an allyship between the two kingdoms, and that's pretty much what it's about. This is a great, like, not, I don't want to say enemies, but like, I mean, they're like kind of enemies, like their kingdoms are kind of enemies, so they're like enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, and then lovers. So it's so cute the way that their friendship and their relationship kind of progresses. A very good book, great fantasy romance, and it is pretty tame when it comes to spice. I mean, there is a spicy scene or two maybe, but definitely not the spiciest. The Madison Kate series was one that I read this year that I actually really liked, mostly because of like the angst in this series. Fake is my favorite one. I think it was the third book in the series, and basically the series follows Madison Kate, who in the beginning she is arrested and she goes to prison for, I don't remember how long, I think it was like 4 years maybe, and then she moves to another country to live with her relative, and then she finally comes back to her home where she finds out the guys who kind of framed her for this crime that she was imprisoned for are now living in her father's house. So a lot of angst. There's a mystery that is kind of like the book is centered around, and there's just a lot of so much angst. If you like angsty reads, which I love them, this is like the series for you. So angsty and super spicy. And I didn't love the twist at the end where you find out like the mystery that's being solved. I felt like it was a little too convenient, but it was still pretty good and I really enjoyed it. And then my favorite shifter romance that I read this year, Feral Sins by Suzanne Wright. She actually has a lot of books on Kindle Unlimited, a lot of shifter romances. I think there's like 3 different series, but I read the first one, and I guess it's her most popular series. I don't remember. I didn't write down the series name, I'm sorry, but the first book is called Feral Sins, and I really liked this one. One of my favorite, one that I really liked, a shifter romance that I liked more than I have. Like the few that I've read this year, some of them were not very good. This one I actually really enjoyed. It's about this woman who is the daughter of an alpha, and so she is treated like crap because she can't shift into her wolf form. And so she and the alpha of another pack kind of decide to have a fake relationship to build allies for different reasons, and it turns out that things, I can't spoil it for you, but like, you know, if you're familiar with shifter romances, you could probably guess where it might go to, which I'm definitely okay with. I love it. I love the tropes that are specifically in this book. It's very good. It was pretty steamy. I loved the pack that she ends up going to live with. I love their house or their like compound or whatever, because it's like built into the mountain that they live at. It's very cool. It sounds very interesting, and I think that might have been like one of my favorite parts of this book, but highly recommend. I'm definitely going to be reading more books from Suzanne Wright in general, and definitely continuing on with this series. And I just had to put this on this list. Even though it's not the best book that's ever written, the series itself is kind of ridiculous. It's addicting, honestly. That's why it's on this list, because it is the most addicting series that I've read this year. And that, of course, is the Zodiac Academy series by Suzanne, Valenti, and Caroline Peckham. I've only read up to book number 4. I'm going to continue with the series. I'm just trying to draw it out. Also, I find it very hard to finish series. But anyway, this series follows these twins, Tori and Darcy, who find out that they are fae and then go to the Zodiac Academy where they have to, learn about their magic and stuff like that. And of course, there's the big bad evil, and there are jerks who go to the school, so there's a lot of magic, a lot of pranking. So yeah, it's fun. that's what I'll say. It's a fun series. I highly recommend it if you really enjoy books that take place at an academic setting. If you're not too, like, if you don't really care that much about, like, the writing style and you want more of just like a really captivating story, then I highly recommend this book, because I find it very easy to get past a writing style if I find that the plot just moves at a fast pace that it just keeps me so interested, and that's definitely this book. So highly recommend. Next on my list, number 4, is Priceless by Miranda Silver. This is another college romance which I really enjoyed. It's definitely a bit steamier than a lot of these other books. Like, this is probably the spiciest book on this list, mainly because of the type of spice. If that makes sense. I don't want to spoil it, but I really liked this book, and I wasn't really expecting it to like it this much, because of like things that I've heard, and kind of like the premise of the book makes me kind of want to be like, I don't want to read that. But I actually really enjoyed it, and I thought that it was well developed, and the story, kind of like the way that it developed to the ending, was just like, I love the ending so much. This book was so freaking good, because in the beginning it's like this couple who, they're basically using each other, and so it's kind of like a cold relationship, but the way that it develops, you learn so much more about them, and your relationship grows, and it's so freaking cute. They're like, oh, I love them so much. It's a great book. Highly recommend. If you love really spicy books, definitely check this one out. Number 3, I definitely had to put this series on this list because it obviously blew up this year, and it's for a good reason, and that's the Ice Planet Barbarians. Yes, it's ridiculous. Yes, they're aliens, but it's still freaking fun, okay? It's a great series. It's fun to read. It's such a great series if, like, you need a comfort read. And I have seen people say this, like, when they want something comforting, they'll read a book in this series, because, you know, they're all kind of pretty much the same, which for me was really great. Like, when I started a new job this year, and so I really relied on having books that I knew how were going to end in happily ever after, and I knew were going to be very specific in what I was looking for. So it was great to have this series, and I definitely am going to finish the series eventually. There are like 20 something books, so it's going to take me a while. So I highly recommend. It is spicy. It is adventurous. It's like there's a lot of different like emotional relationships. It's a great series. My favorite was Barbarians Heart, which I want to say was number 7. But I know a lot of people probably don't like that book because it has a lot of miscommunication in it, which is why I loved it. So good. So good. Number 2 on this list is an LGBTQ plus romance, Want Me by Neve Wilder. It is a male romance, and I loved it. This, I read the whole series. It's 3 books. I think it's called the extracurricular series, and they're all male romances. I loved the first book. It is super spicy, so if you're looking for a very spicy book, highly recommend this one. And also the relationship was just really freaking cute, because again, it was a kind of like friends to lovers kind of, where they're roommates in the very beginning, and they don't really have a friendship at the very beginning. They're just roommates. They just live together, and then they kind of have a friends with benefits kind of thing, and then they fall in love with each other, and it's adorable. It's so freaking cute. So spicy romance plus very cute couple. Definitely read this book. And then the last book on this list, number 1 of my favorite Kindle Unlimited reads this year. This is the only one that I actually bought a physical copy of, and that was Credence by Penelope Douglas. This is actually the 3rd Penelope Douglas book that I've read, and this is the first one that I've actually really loved. Why? Why do I love this book? It's kind of messed up. So this follows Tiernan, who in the very beginning, her parents die. Trigger warning, because they do commit suicide, and she is therefore like left alone. And even though she is pretty much able to just take care of herself, her step uncle reaches out to her and says, I know we've never met. I know that we're not really close to your family at all, but if you need somewhere to stay, she goes and lives with them in his mountain cabin, and then there's a romance. I don't really want to say more than that, except it's kind of messed up. But I really loved the way that this book ended. Also, I do love isolated settings. I mean, like, it's interesting because it's set in this isolated area, but it's also about like loneliness, finding your people. It's kind of like found family in that way too. And I just really loved it. I really loved it. So highly recommend if you're interested in it. I definitely would find some reviews because this book is not for everyone. Like I said, it's kind of messed up. And those are the top 10 books from Kindle Unlimited that I read this year. I tried to double check and I think they all are still on Kindle Unlimited. Highly recommend all of these books. Definitely, I think there's plenty on this list that's a little bit for everyone. If you're into super spicy romance, or if you're not, if you like fantasy romance, or if you like to read kind of like super emotional stories that definitely would not be the same in real life, but are nevertheless interesting in a novel. So highly recommend. And I mean, like, there's some dark romance on here. I would call this dark romance because of the themes in here. But I like emotionally, I would say that it's dark, but I wouldn't call it dark romance as in like mafia or like a serial killer romance. And that will be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to know what your favorite Kindle Unlimited read from this year was, if you use Kindle Unlimited. Yeah, I'll see you in a new video soon.